everyone, a brand new edition of Kick Ons. Port Adelaide great, Adelaide good are with us. The dynamic duo, Kane Corns, Josh Jenkins, Skipper, great to see you.
Hello, Richo. Good to be here. Don't think I've offended anyone this week, so it's always good to be here.
Not so sure about
I'm not sure what this man's going to deliver today, but I'm looking forward to it.
I'm feeling pretty offended. It's nothing that's come out of your mouth. It's what's on your feet, but we'll get to that a little bit later. I haven't got the greatest shoes on in the world. I was a bit nervous coming in. Then I saw what our man's wearing, and I thought, oh, well, I'm all good, Richo.
You're all looking...
You look fantastic in the Adidas.
You're all looking superb. Thank you very much. I'll tell you what, we are reflecting in the lovely glow that is Ollie Dempsey. We put him on the agenda. I think I started it. You copied us, of course. And we love it. Got a little multi up.
Look at that. Did we get the multi up or what? And follow us, Kick Ons, as well. Just
that's
a
three
nice
punters.
little...
No, just two.
Two. Like you and I.
Yeah, that's it.
But
two
he's
punters.
a freak, this guy.
Freak.
He's a freak. He runs faster than what you ran in the late 80s, I reckon, Richo. He does. He is taking off at speed that we have not seen from a wingman before. And I reckon he'd have you covered over an 80-metre dash.
Oh,
I reckon he would. What do you
tell
reckon?
you what he is. Now, I'm going to have to... He's the new goal square king.
Yeah.
He doesn't live there, but I tell you what, he gets there and he makes it happen.
Has he taken any tips from your good self?
Well, I don't think he needs any, just watching him play the game. He's 24 and 2 goals, 3. Could have been an unbelievable game. It still was, but he's on All-Australian watch, Richo. Absolutely he is.
You're on the soapbox nice and early. You got an early... normally it's meant to be Kane.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I had to bring it forward. It's that good. I had to bring it forward. So last week,
Yes.
we mentioned our favourite players to bet on. So Tristan Cherry was mine.
Hang on.
He had 18 touches. Jordan Clark was Kano's favourite player to punt on. He had 21.
Oh, close.
And Nicholas Dacos was your favourite, and he had 28.
But
out
I had
of
him
30.
at 25 plus, not 30 plus. You've manipulated the graphic.
That is incorrect. If you'd like to go back and watch last week's show, you'll be proven wrong.
So can't all of us?
Can't all of us. Our 3 favourite players to bet on all went under. All stuffed up for us.
Okay, and then you've got Kane in your crosshairs as well.
Well, sometimes things are just too good to be true. I like to go back and watch the show and reflect on everyone's performance, and I do it after the games have been played because it adds a little bit of
You are
theatre.
a sicko.
Have a listen to our man, Kano.
Bet of the round for me is the Bombers at the line. So I think the Dogs
what
will
about
win.
head-to-head?
Nah, the Dogs will win, but I think the Bombers will keep this close. They play Marvel Stadium very well. In fact, both of these two sides do, but the Bombers are a different team at Marvel, and I think they'll keep it close.
The Dogs demolish Essendon by 91 points.
You said the Dogs would win.
Missed it by that much.
I told you they wouldn't win. Didn't I?
They're definitely a different
I didn't
team.
say they would win. I just said they'd keep it close.
Bet of the round.
Also, how slouchy were you? How small did you look?
Sorry, I was
Come on,
sit
you're
up
an
straight,
impressive
yeah.
young man.
Come on.
Get a bit of oxygen in that magnificent chest of yours.
And I'll add to that, whilst we're on the car, everyone,
Here we go.
that was the multi-leg that let us down too.
I know.
Is that the only leg that let us
Yes,
down?
it was a given.
All right.
Yeah, you're
all
under
right.
intense
That's
scrutiny at the
okay.
moment.
I'm on watch. I'm
2 out of 3
bounce back.
every week. But let's turn into Friday night. This should be an absolute beauty because it's such a significant game, Skipper.
It is a significant game, such a prestigious game,
Yeah.
of course, Dreamtime at the G. These two teams have made it their own. There'll be a huge crowd there. Richmond in reasonable form, considering where we thought they would be at the start of the year. And the Bombers need to bounce back and should be winning this game. Not sure that is quite fair.
Tighten it up a bit?
Yeah, I think Richmond... you could see and make a case to them winning this game. I don't think clearly they're going to start favourite, but they should be able to keep it a little bit closer than that.
They will run into the team, a type of team you don't want to run into, a team that's been stung. Yeah, they're stung in the tail team. And if Essendon are to respond, it's got to be improved ball movement. I was at the game against the Dogs the other night. All they did last Saturday night was just meaningless possession. So sideways handballs, running themselves into pressure. Now the Dogs aren't putting on great heat in that passage of play. It's just not the right type of ball movement. A lot of their kicking as well is sideways. You know, they like to go backwards. They do have good enough ball users back there in Ridley and McGrath and a few others that they should be a bit more potent. the Dogs taught them a lesson.
Yeah, they did, and it was over 10 minutes into the game. Very rare that you get an AFL football game that is over 10 minutes in, and the Dogs did teach them a lesson. So it's an off night. I think they win between 10 and 11 games this year, the Bombers, but this is a game that you pencil at the start of the year and go, we just have to be winning this one.
I can say, Bombers win. Even the line, 18.5. But then you could imagine Richmond Dreamtime of the G will fight.
No Tom Lynch. And no Tom Lynch is with the delayed concussion. He hasn't been in great form, but I think he's important structurally to their forward line group. So without him, how do they kick a winning score? Richmond, so that would be of concern for me. So a bit of pressure on the Bombers to respond pretty strongly.
What about in the ruck? Goldstein versus the Nank.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem for them all year because, Todd Goldstein's been preparing his proteges to play in the ruck, and now all of a sudden Draper goes down, Nick Bryan goes down, and he looks worn out. Tim English is back in sparkling form, but English was just, the one thing Goldstein has been able to do is get around the ground. English just outran him, and that's a perfect example. He just can't get to the contest. He can't go with the other ruckmen, particularly the running types. This week he comes up against a physical beast in Nankervis. So maybe his first job, Kane, is just don't let Nankervis grab it out of the ruck and really dictate physically. Yeah,
Nankervis has been pretty strong. I reckon he's taken it to some good opponents this year. He gives a lot of free kicks away. That's the only thing about Toby's been quite undisciplined. But, Goldstein's doing his job. Who would have thought that he would be, they would be so reliant on him at his age. But, Rich, I'm obsessed by Lawler.
Yes.
I'm obsessed by Sammy Lawler, who's just the number one pick, of course. And he's not getting huge numbers, but you don't need him to get huge numbers. But this is what we've noticed about the impact that he's having, JJ. 2 for score involvements. You can see that. Scoreboard impact, so that's anything, points, goals, and goal assists, the contested stuff, and his ability to be so strong overhead. 16 he had on the weekend, but it was a better 16 than what it probably says on paper.
I think he's that type of player. His numbers are never going to be a true reflection of his impact on the game. He takes a big, really clever, specky in the goal square. Here it is here. Just able to shift bodies with his legs and hips. So smart. He's really classy. He's going to be a player that's going to have a big impact in the forward half of the ground. He's going to be a different player to Dustin Martin. Of course, the comparisons are going to be there. But he will impact the game in a similar way.
And he will grow and get stronger physically. He's already a big unit.
Good value for 2+ as well at 3.10. If I asked you to pick one, Harley Reid or Lawler, who would you take for the next 10 years?
Well, I've said publicly, I've still only seen real glimpses from Harley Reid. I haven't seen that consistent game-breaking element from him, so I'd take Lawler at the moment.
It's a big call.
I'm staring at me there.
I'm with JJ. I'm with JJ on that one.
Unfair comparison. One guy's 3 years into it.
No. A couple of years. And both number one picks. I think it's a fair question to ask. That's what we do in the media, Richo, and we don't sit on the fence. So I would take Lawler as well.
Jagger Smith will be better than both of them once he comes back to play. Just mark my words. Now, Zach Merritt will be stung by the fact that you said he had 30+ possessions and he didn't deliver. So $2.12 if you want 30+ this week.
Yeah.
Keen or no?
Yeah.
Can I just...
Once bitten,
he's playing a bit too much forward for me.
Yeah. Maybe
the disposals.
One of the worst games I've seen him play live. He didn't have any energy. He's just lethargic, like 21 of his teammates.
He's been carrying the club for the last 10 years.
Jack Ross did a tagging job last weekend against North Melbourne. That might be a new role for Ross. It was McIntosh doing it. So Jack Ross might go to Zach Merritt. So just be wary on the 30+.
All right, team. Set us up Hawthorn versus Brisbane. This should be a beauty.
This is a ripper because both teams need to respond strongly here. I thought Hawthorn were pretty good, to be fair. Tough task to go up there to Darwin, take on Gold Coast. I've already been there, settled, know the conditions, play the ground pretty well. They're one midfielder short for me, and that would be nice if it was Will Day. You slot him back in and be ideal.
It's going to take a while, though.
It will. Watson, I want to watch on how many midfield minutes he gets for the rest of the year. So I think they need to use him like Melbourne used Cozzy Pickett, like Sydney used Tom Papley, but they're suggesting to me that he's not fit enough yet to go through the midfield. In time, he'll get there.
Are we genuinely worried about either team? I think Brisbane have the ability. Now, their numbers here aren't fantastic. Some of the key numbers aren't great, but in the first month of the year, these numbers were all spectacular. Now, last year, they were going better than the scoreboard and the wins and losses were telling us. I still think Brisbane are capable. They sleptwalked through that game against Melbourne. They had it in the bag.
I'm not sure how they lost.
So I'm not worried about Brisbane because we still do see passages of play that are unbelievable. The talent is obvious and there's more talent returning. Coleman was back. They just fell asleep in this game.
Yeah, they did. I mean, the 24 points up, and you think they had this game in control, and Melbourne just stormed home. It was 12 scoring shots to 2 in the last quarter, and they got the momentum, and Brisbane couldn't stop it. I don't think their forward line looks anywhere near as dangerous as what it looked last year. Eric Hipwood has a good game once a month. Charlie Cameron is completely off to the player that he has been for a long period of time, so you give him a bit of grace there. Cam Rayner, who knows what Cam Rayner you're going to get from week to week. Archie's probably not the player, and Loman's still trying to find his feet. Zach Bailey's been the one constant who's been really good, but I'm more worried probably about Hawthorn because of the midfield than I am about Brisbane.
I think what we should remember with Brisbane is, yes, they've only got the one premiership, but they've been competing at the pointy end for 5 or 6 years now. So it's not a surprise that maybe they're just having a bit of a lull in this part of the season before they ramp it up. I love the $7.50 about them to win the premiership. I'm not sure you'll get a bigger price. I reckon you'll only see that price skinny up because, look, if they lose on the weekend, then maybe you get $8 or $8.50, but they're not going to get bigger than that.
If that's a lull, a lot of footy clubs want to have a lull like that.
Yes.
I can just see them once again, the analogy in the marathon, halfway mark, they are sitting, a couple of metres off the main pack, just sitting in behind, not going through the absolute best. But when it counts, in 15 weeks' time,
but I think it's
right.
pretty important they qualify top 2. Just to have the prospect of not leaving the Gabba until grand final day once again. What a setup that would be. So they're going to have to get their move on and win enough games to finish top 2.
Let's talk Ruckman again. And I look towards you, of course, underutilised as a
Ruckman show today.
Underutilised you were. What about Gawn versus Grundy?
It's not what the coach has said about my ruck work. Now, this was an interesting clash, of course, at the SCG. Brodie Grundy stitched up Max Gawn, and Max Gawn has not been beaten that much across the past 5 or 6 years. This will be in the memory bank for Big Max.
It will be.
He'll come out firing and come out strong here.
He's on fire, Max. He's the best last quarter player in the league right now, I reckon, Max Gawn. What he's been able to do in standing up late in the last quarters. So at 33 years of age, to prepare yourself as well as he has to impact the way that he's impacting last quarters and dragging his team over the line, I think it's been incredible. Brodie's been okay.
His last 3 or 4 have been pretty solid. Again, we're picking Peter Laddams in the same team as Brodie Grundy. I'm going to lose my mind if they keep doing that, Richo. I don't understand it. Even though he almost kicked goal of the century, Peter Laddams. Who wins the game? That's the part I can't get my head around.
Maybe Melbourne at home?
Yeah, probably that because they're playing at home.
Not a lot of confidence in that.
Because it's a flip of the coin, isn't it?
No confidence whatsoever. Loser can't play finals. Winner, their season is still slightly alive and there's a heartbeat.
Sydney feel like it's just not their season. Like they can't get everyone. Amadi gets himself suspended for a few weeks. McInerney suspended. Yep. They just can't get their best players on the park.
Okay, now Izak Rankine's on our agenda, and I presume you put him there being an anti-Crow man.
Oh yeah,
I did actually. I wonder if his reputation just took a slight dint, Richo, because game was tight. You're playing at the MCG, you lose by 10 points, and you have these 2 opportunities in the third term, and you not only not score, Richo, you kick it out on the full by 10 metres. Look at this, 25 metres out, directly in front. Look at the score, look at the time of the game, and he misses everything. And then there was a rundown tackle in the third term as well. So we all clearly admire Izak Rankine. We love his game-breaking ability. But my watch is on what he does when Adelaide lose. I don't want him to be a front runner. I don't want him to be a fair weather player. I don't want him to cash in when Adelaide have big wins against lesser opponents. I want him to stand up in tough games against good opposition. And when your moment is there, I want you to maximise your opportunities. If he kicks those 2 goals, Adelaide win, and we think a lot differently about the Crows than what we do right now.
Totally unfair.
Unfair.
Show me that when they win, it's because of him. So he's going to have poor games. He had a poor game. That's what happens. Show me a player who plays better in losses. There aren't many who play better when your team loses.
I think he's been a bit of a fair weather player to this point.
I
think he has.
I'm not wearing it. I'm going to crunch the numbers during the week.
Well, I just did. I just showed you the numbers.
I'm going to get some of my numbers. You found your creative numbers. I'll find mine.
You didn't like that vision? You can't score from
Well, I
25
didn't love it,
metres
but I saw a lot of ponchos too. It was a slippery ball.
He just pulled a couple of left. He needs to go to Melbourne
Now
Golf
watch,
Academy and work.
They got
on it.
West Coast this week. They'll be 35-3. Don't worry, but take it with a pinch of salt. Tell me when they're playing a really good opposition, Brisbane at the Gabba, or one of those strong teams. What his
Don't
performance
forget,
is like.
your dad coached this team. Be nicer. Stop kicking into the bloody Crows on behalf of you,
He's
mate.
still dirty about, salty about. Speaking of salt,
You got your
salty.
Guernsey on today, or what?
Salty about the showdown.
No Crows Guernsey on today.
Still salty. I'm
Disgraceful.
salty that we haven't got to the shot clock. Let's put it up because this first topic, I'm a little scared about.
I didn't put that on there.
Garbage.
I
you did.
promise, hand on heart, I didn't put that on there. Don't worry about it. Rest. He needs to just go back to the sample for a month, and let.
Mate, they have been publicly saying when it gets a little wet, he won't play a lot of minutes.
Question: who's Adelaide's best kick inside forward 50?
Well, you're going to tell me it's him because you wouldn't have asked it if it wasn't.
Thank you. That is the correct answer.
Okay.
But he does need a rest. I thought he needed a rest when they went to Perth, but Fogarty was out, so he had to play. So he needs a rest.
Here's a question. Is Port ruining a season for the fans?
Yes. The minute they announced this stupid succession plan in February, the season was done. So they may as well have not even rocked up for the year because it was never going to go the way that they thought it was. The minute you sack your coach but you still leave him in the chair for 12 months, not going to work.
Agree. I wouldn't turn up if I was a Port fan.
And they won't.
It is a diabolical season.
Ridiculous.
They had 3 losses already by 75 or more, 2 in the past 3 weeks. When it gets tough, they all roll over because they don't know what they're fighting for, Jason.
I get scared when he calls me Jason. My mum doesn't even call me Jason. Here's a question. If you are the CEO of Tasmanian Football Club, who do you pick, Bucks or Horse?
Feels like Bucks is in front. I'm not sure what your horse
Doing some good
your
marketing,
horse
Nathan.
terminology is for when someone's a couple of links ahead.
There you go.
But I think the ideal combination is Nathan Buckley as coach, Scott Pendlebury underneath him, and then Pendlebury takes over in 3 or 4
I
years.
think Chris Scott would be a good get. He's been at Geelong for a long time, but if he goes, he'd have to take Nigel Lappin. He's 2IC.
Okay. Hardest role to play? I would say host for these two idiots.
I'd say ruck. I'd say physically it's still the ruck. It's a difficult position, and it is the only remaining position on the ground where you are judged against your opponent.
Small forward. Small forward's the hardest position to play on the ground.
Starvation
Richo.
corner,
Yeah,
eh?
starvation corner.
Easiest would be clearly the tagger.
Yeah, no, not sure about that. Probably halfback. Take the kick-ins. Like, what about Ryan Marrick at the West Coast? You're just taking kick-ins and getting 25 every week. Like, how easy
I
is
think
that?
Ryan Marrick could cop a stray on the show today. But anyway, shout out to the great man.
A fan of the show too.
Halfback's the easiest gig in footy. Now, they're great players, but, Sinclair and these type of players, it is a fantastic role.
The big clash, Blues versus Giants, coming up next. You're watching Kick Ons. This is the battle of the hunger teams. Teams that have belly is not full because they're coming off losses. Carlton versus GWS.
Yeah, this is going to be a fascinating game of footy. I'm looking forward to this one immensely. GWS, they go to Geelong and they win amazingly, and then they lose to Fremantle at home. Not sure what to make of them, but they will be wound up.
You are really confident in the
very.
Giants.
Very.
Why?
I think there's a clear class discrepancy between these two teams. Carlton don't have enough good kicks in their team. I think Marvel Stadium will potentially suit the Giants, particularly if Whitfield and Ash and these guys can move the footy around the ground. I'm really confident the Giants win.
And Carlton don't play that well at Marvel. They seem to play better at the MCG. What about Charlie Curnow? That's a big matchup that he's got with Buckley going to him.
Yeah, huge. And Jack Buckley, look, it's both defenders against both forwards. It's really, Taylor and Buckley against Curnow and Mackay. They've got a good record against them. So if Curnow and Mackay can't kick 5 or 6 between them, I don't know how they win.
Which brings me to on notice, Richo.
Yeah.
Because I'm putting Charlie on notice. It's been a long time since this man has grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck and reminded us all of the great player that he is. So Kick a bag. These are the bags for the year the players have kicked 6+. So Hogan's done it a couple of times. Cameron kicked 7 on the weekend. The big kahuna, Peter Wright's even done it. Jack Gunston, Ben King, Jamie Elliott. No Charlie Curnow on there. He just has not kicked a bag for a long time. He's on notice. I want a bag. I want him to remind us all of the player that we know he can be.
Is he physically ready to kick a bag? Because keep in mind, he
Been
has
back
come
for a
off that
while
injury.
now.
When is he going to be fit?
Yeah, but he came off a serious injury. First up, he was really
Stop
underdone. He's
defending
had
your
5 or
Blues.
6 games
Yeah,
back now.
Your twos and your threes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want your twos and your threes. I want your 4s and your 5s.
What
Yeah,
about
we
a
need a
combine with
separation.
Harry? What's the pass mark combined, the both of them then?
8.
3 each?
8.
You need 4 each.
Well,
Yep.
the Crows needed 12 last week, so 8 between these two. I think if they get 8 between them, they'll probably win the game. If it's 5 or less between them, or 6 or less, they won't win the game. So that's why I'm supremely confident about the Giants, because Taylor and Buckley are incredibly good players. Jack Buckley has done the best job of anyone against Patrick Dangerfield, so he's clearly a good athlete. So I like the Giants big time.
Okay, talking about Marvel Stadium. So the Saints host Gold Coast Suns. Saints after
boy.
a horror over in WA, which was predicted by one member of our team.
Was that me? Or?
No.
Sorry. Sorry, thought it was me. The Saints, though, getting back to Marvel Stadium will be a godsend for them. Having said that, I sat through this game last year. Worst game I've ever seen live.
Park
Gold
the
Coast.
bus.
Oh, my God.
Park the bus. Now, Gold Coast are a different team than they were this time last year, so they'll be more prepared to take it on. So I think this could be a disaster for the Saints. That's not fair. Gold Coast should be red hot.
They should win that.
Even shorter than $1.50.
Yes, shorter than $1.50.
Now, you know, Kane, you have a lot of segments which are absolutely cutting through, and you are setting the agenda. But no one has the key power rankings for forwards like our man JJ.
Thank you. Yes, it's been a while. I think it's been 2 weeks since we've had our power rankings. Big changes.
Jez is finally in, sure.
Big changes. Jeremy Cameron at 5. I know where you're going to go. And we'll
Hang
get
on.
to it. Just hold your horses. The thrill seeker, Benny King just keeps kicking goals. Jack Higgins is carrying the Saints.
You can't
the
be
little
4
man.
for 11 being a
Power
power forward.
Well, you tell me who's doing anything for them inside forward 50.
Power
And
forward.
Jesse Hogan is the best forward in the game. Jack Higgins might win the damn Coleman.
But is he a
He's
power
not a
forward?
power forward.
He's playing powerfully.
That's powerful. Stay with us. You're watching Kick Ons. Papers are in.
We've crawled. This is the Fremantle Footy Club. Finally, they've had a meaningful win. Now they've got to go home and walk the walk against Kane's power.
Which they will do. Premiership panic for me. I think Hawthorn get the lines, and there's just a little bit of panic creeping into those lines.
And same theme, both hungry teams, both losing the Sunday hunger games. I think I like that. Okay, Footy Trip Fund. Now, unfortunately, the skipper.
I lost it. I had it for
Who'd
2
have
weeks.
thought?
You had it for 1 week.
I had it for 2 weeks, 2 goes at it.
Well, I'm going to get the cash back in
Thank you.
1 week with one big multi across
Ridiculous.
the weekend. So there it is. Have a look at
Greedy.
this. Toby Nankervis will run amok against Goldie. Luke Jackson, Action Jackson, one of the best ruckmen in the competition. Thanks for coming. Darcy Fogarty should kick a bag full against West Coast. No Jeremy McGovern. And Gold Coast, that's my most nervous leg. But Gold Coast 1-39 against the Saints. $13. You can copy that on
touch greedy.
Kick Ons. I'll put that on my own feed.
Love it. Touch greedy, but I love that
Slight-
because we're
yeah.
coming from a long way back. Our holiday trip, footy
We'll be
trip's
right.
going to be a bit poor.
Have faith.
Follow us on Kick-Ons, please, too, because we're going to have our weekend multis. This is where we put our heads together.
Yes.
You go first, Skipper. What do you got?
Well, I think North Melbourne keep this one a little bit closer than what everyone will think. So North at the lines, about 34.5, I think. You're testing my eyes there, Richo.
Yep.
But they kept it close last year and they'll keep it close again.
Tame language. I was hoping to clip that up for next week's show. Better the round sort of stuff. GWS, you can clip this up. I'm very keen on GWS to beat Carlton.
Very keen.
I've got, the small fish are often the sweetest. Just Essendon just to defeat Richmond. Add a little $1.35. That gives us $5.43.
I like it.
Thank you very much.
like it.
Responsible.
It is responsible, and watching this show, not that responsible, but follow us on Kick-Ons. Follow on social as well. Hope your team wins over this extended
Good
weekend.
luck to your Blues.
Don't offend anyone.
I won't, Richo. Quiet weekend for me.
You keep doing what you're doing.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.